These are samples that I hope will help you begin to plan for your final preparation, your final presentation for this class. You are required to have a slide presentation, whether you're delivering live in Zoom or uploading a media presentation. Avoid disfluencies or crutch words. Those are the ums, you knows. Have silent pauses. Practice, practice, practice. Do not edit your video recording. If you edit, you will receive a 0. I will have a rubric available at the end of this presentation, and also remember that if you're recording, you cannot use the Canvas in recording feature.
Bermudez, and I'll be talking about interpersonal communication and the self. This is in chapter 3. Looking back at my first speech that I did for the class, I was also very nervous. I didn't know what to do. I kind of thought I couldn't do it. But now I feel a little bit more confident. I know it's still challenging for me, and it still gives me like those little butterflies to come out here and talk, but we'll see how it goes. So this chapter talks about who we are. It's always hard to answer those questions for me, like who are you? What do you like the most? Or what is so important to you? I always struggle answering those questions. I think it's mostly because I always kind of doubt myself, and I always think I'm not good enough, or I always want to do more than I can. So it's challenging for me to answer those questions. I'll be also talking about the self concept, who I am, what I think about myself, who I see when I look at myself in the mirror. And then I will talk about the positive and the negative cycles that we all go through, and that are needed more than anything in life to be able to appreciate the things that we have, that we don't have, or who we are or who we're not. And lastly, I'll be talking about the Johari window and what it does for me. Who am I? I chose a picture of myself because little by little, I've been accepting who I am. I've been learning to love myself, to let go of all those things that I don't like or that I think are not okay with me. The reason why I say this is because growing up, I always compare myself to others. I am tall. I am taller than my sisters. I'm taller than my cousins. In school, I was taller than my friends. So it was always a struggle to be like, why am I so tall? Like, is there something wrong with me? Or just feel like not feel confident about myself, and that somewhat gave me low self-esteem. And I thought it was just hard for me to accept myself. Now, like as time has passed by, I have learned to accept who I am. I have learned to be okay with it, and I think that is so important. So yeah, that's me. So positive and negative cycles. We all go through all these cycles, and I'll give this example. When doing speeches or when talking in front of a crowd or talking in front of people, I doubt myself a lot. I think I'm not good enough because of English being my second language. I think that I'm going to struggle with pronunciation, that people are not going to understand what I'm saying, or that it's just going to be hard for me to deliver what I want to say. And I just fill myself up with like all these negative thoughts and think that I'm not going to be able to do good. But when I did the first speech, I was like, okay, it's not that bad. You got this. And it's just filling yourself up with positive thoughts and being able to be like, okay, I'm going to try my best and it's going to be okay. It doesn't matter if, I don't say the right words. I think that the important part is trying and just putting yourself out there and just somewhat proving to yourself that you can do it. And then the first one already happened. I did okay. So for this one, it kind of gave me that boost to be like, okay, it's not going to be that bad. You're going to be fine. But I think both negative and positive cycles, are necessary in life. Sometimes it might be hard to just wake up one day and be like, oh, it's going to be a bad day, or I'm not going to do good, or work is going to be so long. But we just need to be, be positive, think positive, and just try our best. I think that's very important, to try our best and to always think that will be fine. And next, I'll be talking about the Yohari window and what it does for me. This was very interesting when I read it, because I mean, how can there be stuff that is unknown to us and it's unknown to other? Like, that was just, to me, was like, huh, is that even possible? So, open to stuff. I think I'm very open with my family, with my close friends. I like to be myself. I like to joke around. I like to just be that fun person around them. But when it comes to the blind side, and it's information about me that I don't know, but others know, it might be, hey, you look pretty outgoing, you like to talk, you're pretty, or stuff like that. I think I'm very shy. I don't like to talk in front of people. But when I get, some kind of how do you call it? When you get to know these people and you get comfortable around them, it's easy for me to be myself. But when it's a whole new class, or when it's people that I'm barely getting to know, it's hard for me to break out of my shell and just be myself. So that would be the blind side for me. When it comes to hidden self, it's information about me that I don't know and others don't know. Information that I know and others don't know. It's mostly, just maybe secrets that I have, or things that I do that I don't tell others, or just when it comes to feelings, it's very hard for me to express my feelings. Like, if I'm feeling sad, if I'm heartbroken, if there's, things that I feel, it's very hard for me to go out there and just tell people. I usually just hide in the room, cry, listen to music, and just, let it go, and tell others how I feel. And lastly, when it comes to unknown self, that was pretty interesting, because, there's things that we still need to live. There's things that we still need to explore, and there's things that we'll be finding out in the future, but maybe right now I'm not aware of them. So I'm excited to know what it holds for me in the future, and I hope it's full of good things, and that I can be a little bit more, out there when it comes to presentation. I can have that confidence to go out there and talk in front of people. That's really exciting for me. So I have talked about who I am, my acceptance into who I am now, who I am before, the process of my thoughts, my positive side, my negative side, and both of them, because it's impossible not to have a positive or negative side. And I have talked about the Yohari window frame, which is actually pretty interesting. Overall, I have learned so much in this class, and I would be lying if I didn't say that it gave me a lot of confidence to be out here right now and talking in front of the computer. It's not in front of a class, but it is in front of a computer. And it's still a little bit challenging for me to come out here and talk. So it has definitely boosted my self-esteem, and has, kind of given me that boost to be like, okay, you're going to do fine. It's going to be good. Just go out there and try your best. And that's all I can say. Thank you for listening.
My aha moments PowerPoint. So throughout this quarter, we learned about various modes of communication. While most of them were full of knowledge and new ideas, the chapters that stood out to me the most is Chapter 3 and Chapter 6. Chapter 3, which includes face-to-face impression management. Face-to-face is described in the chapter in 3 sections: manners, appearance, and setting. Appearance, which is the first impression you have when meeting someone for the first time. The way someone dresses is an important role in face-to-face communication. For example, when going to an interview, we know exactly how to dress to be professional, since we are representing ourselves. Next, I have is setting. Setting is described as physical items we use to influence how others view us. For example, is something that we are all dealing with today. due to the recent pandemic. Although we are all attending class through our computers and use Zoom to see each other, it does not give the same feeling as being in class. We use the classroom to identify ourselves as students and or as a teacher. Now we must do it from the comfort of our home. It gets a little harder when you have to do it from the comfort of home because there's just so many distractions. We have social media, your phone is with you the whole time, you have family members in the background making noise. I feel like for me it's so much harder to do online classes than to actually be in class. Because in class, you're just there focusing on that one thing and not having to deal with like your family members or having to have your phone. I think I skipped one, but the other one was manners. Having manners such as being polite to people or having bad manners is a very important role in face-to-face communication. For example, I can choose to have proper manners, especially working in the medical field when rooming patients. I choose to be professional and have manners with all of the patients, even though they are rude to me. Then we move forward to chapter 6. Chapter 6 is by far the best chapter for me due to how directly it applies to our daily lives. Nonverbal is key when having a conversation with someone either through a face-to-face encounter or online conversations. Nonverbal cues are important such as eye contact, facial expression, and posture. Nonverbal communication, a greater amount of human behavior is emphasized through nonverbal signals. Over 70% of all communication is nonverbal. When we are having a conversation with someone, we automatically pay attention to their nonverbal cues, such as, again, eye contact and taking consideration of how they respond with their facial expressions. I feel like when you have a face-to-face encounter with someone and the facial expressions means a lot, and you can tell if they're interested in the conversation or not by just their facial expression. So I feel like that one's really important. Also, we learn nonverbal cues as children, and they continue with us forever. Nonverbal cues allow us to understand the authenticity of the conversation, whether or not the other person is interested in creating a dialogue. But that is it for my aha moments. Have a great night.
That as the assignment submission says for my final paper, I'm pretty sure for each and every one of us, we can find an instant in our lives where each one of these communication principles fit in or could be represented by one of these principles. But as the assignment for this video states, how and which communication principles apply to our own interpersonal experiences. I understood this assignment as which principles from what we've read or from this class that go with our lives more or more often. So with that, the first one I chose was self-disclosure. I feel like I pay attention to that a lot. I try to make sure that I give away as little as possible about myself, about my personality to people. It seems that I've just become like how people say a wallflower, I believe is the term. I just try to stick to my corner. I try not to really be noticed or anything. I'm not one to thrive for attention, or I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying that's how I am. I don't care for attention. I try to just remain just in the outside of things. I'm not necessarily outgoing, if you will. From self-disclosure, in my paper, I discuss the way I use it for my privacy management. Like I've said, I try to get people to know as little as much about me. I talk about the benefits and risks of self-disclosure. I see more benefits from self-disclosure than risks, just because I'd rather lose out on a relationship that I really didn't care for than to say have someone know a lot more about me than I would want them to. I talk about alternatives that I use for self-disclosure, such as silence and lying. The next topic I talk about is forming new relationships. With this topic, I believe that my relationships have formed, most of them have formed through similarities I have with the other person. I see very few complementary, but I do see, or I do talk about, I believe, one or two that fall under the complementary category. But I do believe that older relationships and even new ones that I've formed in the last couple of days and weeks have been due to similarities. My next topic is nonverbal communication. I believe this one is possibly the biggest one out of the topics I talk about, just because I use it with my family and I use it at work, and most of the time you use it out in public with strangers. With work, working with machines and stuff like that, you have to rely on hand gestures, just making communication in whatever way possible, and sometimes being able to vocally get a message through isn't always available. And at home, just growing up on a farm, we've also worked with machines here, so I've learned gestures and some form of communication other than speaking, where say a machine's too loud and I can't get the message through, or they can't see me, so I'd have to wave. And just through experience like that, I've learned certain gestures that mean certain things, and just stuff like that. There's posture in this category of nonverbal communication. That's just like I believe a human thing. You notice when someone's body language is different, that either they're feeling different or they're going through something. And the final topic I talk about is listening. Listening, I did find possibly like the second biggest interesting topic that I talk about, just because I compared it a lot to how I pay attention to things. And in this chapter, I believe chapter 7, it talks about the difference between hearing and listening. And once I was reading that the first time around, I did notice the issues I have with that, because a lot of the times that I'm watching something or talking to somebody, I think I'm paying attention to what they're saying. I think I'm actually listening to them, but I'm just hearing what they're saying. Everything's just coming in one ear and coming out the other. In this portion, I talk about barriers to listening that I go through as well, like pseudo listening, I believe it's pronounced. Just like I said, acting like I'm paying attention, but it's just coming in through one ear and out the other. I'm not retaining anything from that information. Ambushing, like I said, I'm that type of person to just stay away, not necessarily try to give away enough information about myself. So where I fear that someone will gain enough information to use it against me, I try to gain information about the other individual to use against them, just in case it comes down to it. It's a defensive way of thinking, but I believe, or to me, it just seems like a safety precaution. And other than that, that's pretty much all I go through. I've ran a little bit longer than I'd expected to, but thank you for watching.